You guys know what this is here? Is everybody tracking what she did here? She lied.
So here's a question. Is it always immoral to lie? Many people today would say yes, but many in the ancient world would have said no. Likely that what I said might have bothered you. And that's because we've been raised in a culture that's been dominated by the ethics of Immanuel Kant.
In scripture, God generally hates divorce. However,
Ruslan.
back to the scriptures. So Hebrews chapter 11, it says, by faith, so this is verse 29, by faith, the people crossed the Red Sea as on dry land, but the Egyptians, when they attempted to do the same, were drowned. By faith, the walls of Jericho fell down after they had been encircled for 7 days. By faith, Rahab, the prostitute, did not perish with those who were disobedient because she had given a friendly welcome to the spies. Okay, so that's Hebrews 11. Now, if we go to Joshua chapter 2, we see this story played out. And we see Joshua and these two men secretly coming to the promised land. Okay, now watch this. As we're looking at this story, check this out. So they're going to spy on Jericho, okay? Verse 2, and it was told to the king of Jericho, behold, men of Israel have come here tonight to search out the land. Then the king of Jericho sent to Rahab, saying, bring out the men who have come to you, who entered your house, for they have come out to search the land. But the woman had taken the men and hidden them. And she said, true, the men came to me, but I did not know where they were from. And when the gate was about to be closed at dark, the men went out. I do not know where the men went. Pursue them quickly, for you will overtake them. But she had brought them up to the roof and hid them with the stalks of flax that she had laid in order on the roof. So the men pursued after them on the way to the Jordan as far as the fords. And the gate was shut down as the pursuer had gone out. Before the men lay down, she came up to them on the roof, and she said to them, I know that the Lord has given you the land, and that the fear of you has fallen upon us, and that the inhabitants of the land melt away before you. For we have heard how the Lord, this is a Gentile, by the way, okay? So just this for context, this is some wild stuff. For we have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea before you when you came out of Egypt, and what you did to the two kings of the Amorites, and were beyond the Jordan, to Sihon and Og, whom you devoted destruction. As soon as we heard it, our hearts melted, and there was no spirit left in any man because of you. For the Lord your God, he is God in heaven. Now then, please swear to me by the Lord that as I have dealt kindly with you, you also will deal kindly with my father's house, and give me a sure sign that you will save alive my father and mother, my brothers and sisters, and all who belong to them, and deliver our lives from death. And the men said, our life for yours, even to death. If you do not tell this business of ours, then when the Lord gives us the land, we will deal kindly and faithfully with you. Then she let them down by a rope through the window, for her house was built into the city wall, so that she lived in the wall. Okay. You guys know what this is here? Is everybody tracking what she did here? She lied. She lied to protect the spies. Okay. That's what happened. Now, one of the 10 commandments is thou shalt not lie. She lied. She lied to the people in authority over her. She hid these guys. She lied. Okay. She broke a commandment. Yet, in Hebrews 11, she is celebrated with all of these folks who are part of the Hall of Faith.
That's crazy.
Okay. So we know, generally speaking, you should not lie. You should not be a liar, generally speaking. However, we see an example in Scripture of a time and a place where someone that is a prostitute lies to protect the spies going into the promised land. Okay, so we see a descriptive passage. Now, this is difficult for some of you guys, but it's only difficult because you're not looking at it from a scriptural Jewish perspective. You're looking at it through a Western deontological perspective, Kant's perspective of ethics. And so I want to play this quick clip from Inspiring Philosophy, and he's going to break this down, where this comes from, and I can unpack this further, and then we're going to talk about more with regards to this concept.
So here's a question. Is it always immoral to lie? Many people today would say yes, but many in the ancient world would have said no. So take the classic example. If you were living in Nazi Germany and hiding Jews in your cellar, and then the police came and knocked on your door and asked if you were hiding Jews, would you lie? I think the intuitive answer is yes. To tell the truth would be aiding in an atrocity. But to lie would be helping and saving innocent lives.
This is common sense. If you are a Christian, most of us are going to lie to the Nazis to save some Jewish lives. And many Christians did just that. Many Catholics did that. Many people did just that. They lied to the Nazis to save Jewish lives. Okay? This is breaking a commandment. Okay? Hey, you want to see something crazy? 67% of the people who watch this channel are not subscribed. Do me a quick favor, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you stay up to date on all the videos here on the Blessed God Studios channel.
Likely that what I said might have bothered you. And that's because we've been raised in a culture that's been dominated by the ethics of Immanuel Kant. We've been taught that it's always wrong to do something like lie, regardless of the circumstances. But in the ancient world,
Kant actually responds with his deontological ethic to natural law by St. Thomas Aquinas. Okay, so he's responding to natural law, which basically says there's certain things that are natural in law and it's in the scriptures, and God reveals these things. He also writes them on people's hearts. In his response to secularized ethics and morality, he comes up with the deontological method, which is not Christian, which says that if something is ever wrong, it's always wrong. So if it's ever wrong to lie, you should never lie, even if Nazis are coming to take the Jews. You should always you should never lie. Okay, it's called a categorical imperative. Okay, and so this is a secular paradigm which has some utility at times, but it falls short of a biblical worldview.
this has played a key role in knowing what the proper and virtuous action to take was. So take the biblical account of Rahab lying to protect the spies that were sent
which we
to
just
Jericho.
covered.
Or in Jeremiah 38, the king instructs Jeremiah to lie, otherwise the court officials would have killed him. Both acts would have been considered virtuous because they lied to prevent harm from being done. Similar to how it seems like the intuitive response to a Nazi asking if you're hiding Jews is to lie to him, so you protect innocent lives. What this really boils down to is what form of normative ethics do you hold to? If you hold to a form of deontology, like Kantian ethics,
Right.
you're going to believe there are certain universal rules that apply regardless of the circumstances. So you can never lie regardless of what happens.
Yep.
But if you hold to something like consequentialism or virtue ethics, you're going to take circumstances into effect because you realize there are times when lying might be the virtuous thing to do if it's going to help or protect an innocent life. Now, what I would argue is in the New Testament, Paul and Jesus are teaching a form of virtue ethics,
Yep.
not a form of deontology.
Yep.
The New Testament doesn't give us an exhaustive account of all the universal rules we're supposed to follow.
It doesn't. I don't need a verse to tell my buddy to not grind on the carpet,
Yeah.
because there is New Testament virtue ethics that cover that without having to overtly speak about it.
Is us that we're supposed to love one another, that there are certain virtues we need to exemplify, that we need to do whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable. That our main focus is not on what is lawful, but on what is helpful. In other words, we're constantly reminded by Paul and Jesus to use our reason and our understanding of the virtues to deduce what action to take, regardless of what circumstances we're in. If we truly understood the virtues or the fruit of the Spirit, then we would know that against such things there is no law.
Yep. And he's actually going to be on the channel next week. So we're going to be having some of these confirmations. And so here we see an example of something that any reasonable person would say, yes, we shouldn't lie. We shouldn't be liars. You shouldn't be dishonest with your spouse, right? We shouldn't do that. However, there is a time and a place for the exception to the rule. Okay? Generally speaking, and this is a commandment. This is a 10 commandment, okay? As far as I know, thou shalt not divorce is not a 10 commandment. Right?
Yep.
So you have something that's a commandment, and you see exceptions to the rule in Joshua 2, and it echoed again in Hebrews 11. That doesn't mean you should lie.
Yeah.
In Scripture, God generally hates divorce. However, there's the exception to the rule in an extreme situation, okay? Mike Winger laid out the Sabbath. Mike Winger laid out all these other things, okay? This is not that complicated. This should be fairly straightforward. Mike Winger glues this together very well, and therefore, that is why in extreme situations, when someone is experiencing hands being put on them, like a woman or seeing her kids, I believe that it is within the realms of reasonable conclusion that she can flee from that marriage, that she can divorce. And in my opinion, if she feels led to remarry, I don't have an issue with that either. Okay. I don't think this is that unreasonable. I don't think this is that crazy. I don't know why anybody would push back besides a wooden, fundamental, literal view of the scriptures where you need a rule to a verse to answer every question and check every box.
Yeah.
It's not how the scriptures were written. They were written for us. They weren't written to us. Okay.
Yeah.
The New Testament is literally written to local churches with questions that they had that the apostles were answering. That's what the New Testament is, okay? So they're written for us, but they're not written with every single question under the sun to be answered. There's virtue ethics that we're extracting and we're trying to apply.
Hey, this clip is from our daily after party stream. If you enjoyed it, consider signing up for our Patreon community for only $5 a month, where you get access to the replays of our daily after party streams, as well as the uncut extended versions of our podcast, Discord access that's private, and a discount code for our merch store, only $5 a month. And ultimately, it's the best way to help us contextualize the gospel of Jesus using media, podcasting, and of course, YouTube. The link for that is in the description or in the pinned comment. The perks are amazing. You should get on there. It's only $5 a month. I'll see you over there, all right? Peace.